So what if everything we think we know about how people get rich is just plain wrong? We're about to dive into the data from Thomas J. Stanley's amazing book, The Millionaire Mind, to uncover the real and honestly way more achievable truths about building wealth. Okay, think about this for a second. You've got a certified genius, right? Someone who's super lucky, and a grad from a top-tier university. I mean, on the surface, they all sound like they're on the fast track to success. But what do they really have in common? Well, here's the punchline. According to a huge study of actual millionaires, none of those things are what actually matter. Not even close. It turns out we've been sold this story about what it takes to get rich, and, well, the main characters in that story are all wrong. Yeah, the people who really did become millionaires, they tell a completely different story. Their success isn't really about what they were born with, but about the character traits they built within themselves. So let's just look at the evidence.
All right, first up, let's tackle the biggest myth of them all, this idea that you have to be some kind of brainiac to make a fortune.
This is the classic, right? We all picture the valedictorian, the straight-A student, the person with an off-the-charts IQ. They're just destined for financial greatness. But the actual data, it tells a much more interesting story. Get this, here's our first piece of hard data, 2.92. That was the average college GPA of the millionaires these surveyed. It's a solid B average, but it's not the straight-A genius we're all told to expect. This number kind of screams that the skills that really lead to wealth are learned way outside the library. You know, things like grit and focus and just plain perseverance. And the author really drives this point home. He says it right here. By all the standard measurements, tests, grades, you name it, most millionaires were not considered intellectually gifted. Their path to success was definitely not paved with perfect report cards. And this chart, this is where it gets really telling. I mean, just look at that difference. Having a high IQ, only 20% of millionaires said that was very important. But getting along with people, a massive 56%. That means your ability to connect and work with others was seen as almost 3 times more valuable than raw brain power. Wild. So if it's not being a genius, what is it? Well, the data shows the real top 5 factors are integrity, just being honest with everyone. Tied with that is discipline, self-control. Then comes social skills, having a supportive spouse, and finally, good old-fashioned hard work. Do you see the theme here? These aren't things you're born with. They're character traits you actually have to build. Okay, so if it's not about being a genius, then maybe it's just about being lucky, hitting the jackpot or being in the right place at the right time. Let's see what the millionaires have to say about that. The contrast here is just staggering. When millionaires were asked to rank 30 different success factors, luck came in at number 27. I mean, near the absolute bottom. Meanwhile, discipline was tied for the number 1 spot. The message could not be clearer. They don't count on lucky breaks. They count on their own relentless self-control. And this quote just perfectly captures their mindset. For them, luck isn't some random thing that just happens. It's the natural result of consistent, focused work. They basically redefine luck as something you earn, not something that's just handed to you. So we know it takes discipline and hard work. But what about the fear of failure? The risk that's involved? Well, this brings us to another key trait, courage. This is such an important distinction to make. So many of us think we aren't courageous because we feel fear. But the millionaires in the study show us that's just not true. They all feel fear. Courage is just the decision to act anyway, to move forward even when you're scared. This quote, which is highlighted in the book, is basically their mantra. Never take counsel of your fears. Look, fear will always have a voice, that nagging doubt telling you everything that could go wrong. The key isn't to silence it. It's to hear it and then deliberately choose not to let it make your decisions for you. And that courage? It's channeled into a very specific kind of risk. It's not the reckless, throw it all on red risk of a casino. It's the calculated risk of betting on your own abilities, of investing in your own company, of taking control of your own path. That's what risk means to a millionaire. So far, we've been focusing on individual traits, but the data shows that wealth is not built in a vacuum. The foundation you build at home is actually just as critical. Now, this one might surprise you. Almost half, 49%, of all the millionaires surveyed said their spouse was a very important factor in their success. That's not a small detail. That's a headline. It shows that building wealth is rarely a solo mission. It's very often a team sport. And here's where it all comes full circle, right back to that number one success factor, integrity. A supportive partnership can only be built on honesty. The same character traits that create wealth in business are the exact same ones that create a strong foundation at home. So these are the practical pillars of that foundation. It all starts with choosing the right partner. It's sustained by the discipline to spend less than you make, and it grows by focusing your time and your energy where it's going to have the biggest impact.
Okay, let's put it all together. After busting all those myths, what does the real formula for building a millionaire mind actually look like?
This final table just lays it all out, plain and simple. The reality? Discipline, honesty, and social skills are right at the very top. Over half of all millionaires said these were critical. And the myths? High IQ, a fancy college, being lucky, they're all way down at the bottom. The data couldn't be clearer about where we should be focusing our energy. So here's the bottom line. Building wealth isn't some privilege that's only reserved for the genetically gifted or the incredibly lucky. It's a real possibility for anyone who is willing to work on and cultivate the right character traits. It's something you build, not something you're just given. And that really leaves us with a powerful question, doesn't it? This data isn't just about understanding millionaires. It's about understanding ourselves. Knowing that success comes from the choices we make, not from chance. What's one choice you can make today to start building your own millionaire mind?